Joining me from Paris is Nils Tharandt. He is the CEO of Scoot France. You will recall that France Telecom is hoping to raise up to 1.8 billion euros from the flotation of a minority stake in Page Jaune. We will talk to Nils in a few moments' time. But first to Milan. Enrico Manoja is director of Milano Finanza. And of course, today you had there, with their particular flotation, quite a strong interest from the retail investor. Enrico, what are people saying in Italy tonight about the state of the stock market and the willingness to buy these very public companies?
Well, the first day of Terna, that has been the biggest IPO we've ever had for the past few years here in Italy, has been quite remarkable because the last figures I saw were a 3.5% increase. And this was rather astonishing because yesterday the smaller IPO that started its flotation on the stock exchange lost about 5% on its first day. So there was a bit of worry, let's say. I think that the result we've had today shows that Italian investors are getting closer to the stock exchange again, because the Italian Treasury has chosen not to be so greedy this time, and the price they asked for Terna was rather low, and this has proved to be a good result.
So in other words, it comes back to what our friend here was just saying in London. It's got to be a quality company, and it's got to be very keenly, in other words, cheaply priced.
Absolutely. I think that in this moment, what the small investors really want is small price. Companies must be, of course, good, but that is not enough. We have seen it today. We are going to see it, I'm sure, in the next few days, where we're going to have another two rather large IPOs in Italy, and everybody is very keen on seeing at what price the final offer is going to arrive. If the price is going to be judged all right by the market, institutional investors and small investors are going to make a good deal out of that, and we'll see the results on the stock exchange for sure.
Stay with us if you would. Let me bring in Nils Tharandt, who's very kindly waiting over in Paris, the CEO of Scoot France. Nils, as you look at the present environment, we assume you would like to come to market. Have you got closer to a decision about a flotation?
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned already this morning, we are very happy that we do have new IPOs in the sector in France. We hadn't had at the new market for almost 2 years any significant IPO in France. And we ourselves, with Scoot France, we're considering IPO beginning of 2005. So the confidence is returning to the markets.
So is that actually movement on the position? Is that new, that you've now got early next year in your sights?
Absolutely. The environment is positively developing. In lack of venture capital, an IPO is really becoming an interesting way of raising funds. Do you feel, it's interesting in the wake of what we've been saying, that you put actually the watershed so far away. Do you feel you've missed a window of opportunity now before the summer? In our specific market of director assistants, the market is deregulated in France beginning of 2005. So the first quarter 2005 is the right time to go.
What do you think of France Telecom hoping to raise this 1.8 billion euros from Page Jaune? Presumably that has influenced you very heavily.
I doubt that they will be able to raise this kind of amount, because don't forget, paper business is declining, that for sure. Page Jaune has to go into newer multimedia markets, as we are going already today. So we're rather preparing new technologies than basing our business on paper business.
What about the power that the investment banks hold around Europe at the moment? Presumably you look at Google in the United States with huge envy, and the way in which it is able much better to dictate, for example, the type of fees via auction that ultimately it might have to pay. I mean, what are your advisors telling you?
Well, I think it's a very interesting way of raising funds. Why not trying new models?
So what new models are you thinking about?
It could be a mix of traditional way of fundraising, like having a reserve public and private placement, and having an auction. Why not doing a mix?
So that is being seriously considered, is it?
Definitely. I think this will stimulate any kind of IPO.
Let me go back, if I may, to our guest in Milan. What do you, Enrico, make of the power play that there is at the moment between incumbent managements and those that would take it to market, underwrite it, and probably ultimately buy the stock?
Sorry, I didn't get you very well here. I had a problem.
What do you think about the present, the power that exists? What is the power balance, if you like, between management that is anxious to take its business to market and the investment banks, who on the one hand are anxious for the underwriting, on the other are nervous perhaps that the market may fall away, and on a third may ultimately have to buy the stock, as we saw in the case with Postbank?
Yes, well, in Italy this is a very delicate issue in this moment, of course, especially as the main stockholder that is entitled to do these big IPOs, Terna today, and our telecommunication, Enel's telecommunications business, Wind, probably in the beginning of next year, is the main market mover, I should say. And of course, the Treasury is, especially the Italian Treasury, is very anxious to raise a hell of a lot of money because it's got its public finance problems to keep under control. So obviously the Treasury would like to get as much money out of it, and that is exactly what the stock market will not accept in this moment. I think that today's IPO of Terna has proved, and I think the Treasury will learn this lesson, that if the price is on the low part of the offer when they start, this is going to do good both to the market and to the Treasury, because they are going to get a lot of money with their dividends and with capital increase.
And so, some interesting parallels there with Snecma in France and Postbank and so on over in Germany. Enrico, thank you for joining us. Enrico Manola, who's director of Milano Finanza, joining us live from Italy. And Nils, let us know when you've got some firmer details. Nice to meet you as well. Nils Tharandt, who's the CEO of Scoot, joining us from Paris.
Thank you.